So is John Edward the real deal? I recently had somebody ask me on one of the videos if John Edward was the real deal. It's interesting that this question was asked of me. I've had the opportunity to see John Edward live twice. Now, why would I go back a second time? The first time I went to see John Edward, I had already watched his television show for a long time, and I was always very impressed by it. But I always have my questions: is any of this staged? But I don't judge things that way. I was always very impressed with what I saw, and I decided I'd love to see him live just to see what would happen. So I went to see him live here in Akron, Ohio, and my sister was with me, and my brother-in-law was with me. We went to see him live, and first of all, I would say I was very impressed with the fact that he's a very authentic person. When he's speaking, he's speaking from his heart. But when he is doing his mediumship, he is tenaciously clear. And I say that specifically. Somebody says something that's contrary to what he's getting, and he says, no, this is it. He's very specific about this is the answer. And then they always find the answer. Well, I missed my opportunity to have a reading with John Edward. I kick myself in the butt every time I think about this story. We were sitting there in a very large room, and I was over to the left side, in the side of the audience on stage right, house left, for those of you who are in theater. And in the middle of that group, and he's going, and suddenly he comes to our section. He says, somebody over here has something to do with like big cats or like tigers or something. And everyone's looking around trying to figure out what the big cat thing is. And see, and there's a J name, like a John or a Joan, but it's a big cat. There's big cats. And we're all looking around. Trying to figure it out. No one's... And then he said, are you sure? And he keeps saying, are you sure? He's being very tenacious that there was something. Are you sure? And I'm like, we're all looking around. And I had missed when he said it's a J name, like a John or a Joan. Well, my name's John. My mother's name was Joan. But when I heard John or Joan, I thought, well, those are the standard names you would say when you were trying to say J, John or Joan. And so I didn't say anything because I was so focused on what these tigers were, these cats were, and I couldn't figure it out. And as we're continuing on, he's really, and he keeps coming back to her. Are you sure? And I'm like, nobody's getting it. And as I sat there, we finished the whole thing. It was a great session. Everybody was doing really well. We left. We're driving home, and it hits me. I had done paintings of tigers for my sister. I wasn't associating the tiger art with a tiger. It wasn't clicking in my brain, and the fact that he was saying John or Joan. So I really think I missed my opportunity to be read by John Edward. The thing that impresses me the most about him, though, is his clarity. When he gets information, he does not doubt it in any way, shape, or form. It comes in, and he no matter what the person in front of him is saying, he says, no, you're wrong. This is right. I'm getting this. So he came back to Ohio, and it was in Cleveland this time, and I went and I watched again, and this time there was not a chance for me to be read, but I was so impressed by his clarity once more. He was very much leaning into what he was getting, and that was whatever you're saying doesn't matter. This is what it is. And some of the things that came out were so specific and so clear for people, and you could see the reaction to the people in the room going, oh my God. They couldn't believe the things that they were getting and that he was getting. And to me, when I look at him from the perspective of mediumship, he's very clear. He's getting information coming through, absolutely. When I look at him from a human perspective, he was also very genuine. And one of the things that he did was he shared some of his own issues, like he's a germaphobe and various things. The fact that he showed his own issues and showed his own human frailty, our fallacies, as were. He really was a genuine person being his authentic self. and respecting his authentic self. So I really respected him, and still do. In fact, you might even say I'm a fan. I'm a fan of John Edward, right? Now, I've only met one other medium that I have found it be as clear, and that was a woman in Delaware named Deanna Fitzpatrick. Deanna Fitzpatrick is phenomenal, and she has come through with my mother several times for my sisters and one time for me. Now, Deanna Fitzpatrick didn't know us. She didn't know anything about us. We were in the audience just like at a John Edwards thing, and my sister went one time and my mom came through. My other sister went, my mom came through. I went, my mom came through. My sister went back, my mom and my dad came through. And it was very specific. The things that they were saying were very specific, that she was saying were very specific for each one of us. In fact, when my mom came through to me, she came through with a message for my sister to tell my sister. And so literally, and the message I had to deliver was so very specific. So mediumship is a fascinating thing. Mediumship itself is just another form of channeling. And, everyone thinks about the spiritual gifts or whatever. When you become clear and get focused in a direction, you become clearer. And John Edward, Deanna Fitzpatrick are very focused on mediumship, and so they are very clear in their mediumship. But it's a matter of focusing on an aspect of what's channeling through. For instance, when I do private sessions, I just leave myself open to whatever comes through. And sometimes I've had messages from people who've crossed over. Sometimes I've had images that are of that person's life in a different aspect or a different time. Sometimes I get words. Sometimes I get song lyrics that have meaning. Sometimes, I just stay open to whatever it is. And so I'm not as focused on mediumship as John Edward or Deanna Fitzpatrick is. What I'm focused on is the concept of just being open whatever comes through. And I don't judge it. And what's one of the greatest lessons I learned from people like John Edward and Deanna Fitzpatrick is don't judge it. Whatever comes through, and that's what it is. So the idea is John Edward the real deal. I would say not only is he the real deal, but he is out there doing the work and being authentic in the work. And I applaud him for being so public about this as well. So that's my thought on John Edward. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.